it reminds me of Play-Doh. Like when you get, long
Absolutely.
sausages of Play-Doh and you can sort of roll them all together and then twist them. And that's sort of how the colors are meshing in glass. Hi everybody and welcome to Different Leaf, a show for new and experienced cannabis consumers. I'm Brit Smith. This episode, we're going on a field trip to meet acclaimed glassblower David Colton, who makes pipes and bongs that look less like smoking paraphernalia and more like graffiti made of glass. In 2019, David was recognized by the prestigious Corning Museum of Glass in New York, and he became the first ever cannabis pipe maker to have his work entered into an art museum's permanent collection. You can see some of his work in the fall 2020 issue of Different Leaf the magazine, the one with the red gumdrop on the front. As an avid bong hitter myself, I decided it would be a great opportunity to make my way out to David's home glassblowing studio to learn more about the true art of creating glass pipes and bongs. Well, I'm out here in central Massachusetts, about, 2.5 hours west of Boston. Going down this little old dirt road in a town called Westhampton, Massachusetts. And it's a beautiful sunny day. I've got the right place. 76. It looks like a glass blowing studio here. Oh, well, it's a very nice house. I hope I have the right address. Wow, the view is amazing. There's like purple mountains. Let's see if this is it. Looks like he's blowing some glass. Hi, how are you? I'm Brit. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Dave.
Nice to meet you, David. How are you?
Doing all right.
Thanks so much for inviting me out here. It's gorgeous.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. Well, I would love to sit down and talk to you. I've got a mic recorder. If I could sit down and ask you a couple of questions about what you do, and then show me your.
Yeah, can I get you some water?
Stuff? Oh, water would be great. Well, why don't you tell me sort of how you first got involved in glassblowing? Right? Who introduced you to it?
Well, I kind of found it through the Grateful Dead.
Oh,
and,
really?
People would sell glass pipes in the parking lot kind of thing, and I was really into the whole scene and going to see shows back in the early 90s. Of course, smoking weed, and that was like you say, you've never seen it being done and stuff, so it's such a mysterious kind of thing, and a glass blown pipe is just seemed. And back then they would spray silver into the pipes and onto the tubing in a process they call fuming, where you just take a little bit of pure silver and you kind of hold it in front of the torch and it kind of sprays.
Wow. What's the use of that?
Well, it turns the tubing blue.
Huh.
So, and it's kind of a transparent blue. So what happens is when you smoke out of the pipe, it colors up. The resin gets behind it's kind of like a mirror effect.
Right.
And so as you're smoking out of it, it develops these colors. And so, being 17 years old, 18 years old, you didn't know what was causing the colors to turn and stuff. You're like, is it the heat causing it or something? And you only saw one or two of these things now and then at the shows. And I never had enough money to buy one of those. So it started from there. And when I went out to Colorado, I did a year and then got a house. 5 of us moved into a house, and it turns out there was another 3 people living in the basement kind of thing, a typical college house out there. And then downstairs we were 2 older guys who were deadheads. This guy Jeff downstairs is still a good buddy of mine in my wedding and stuff. Like I said, he was older, and he was selling some of these pipes. He was getting the pipes. He
wasn't making them?
He was just getting them from California and Oregon and different places. And they would just sell like hotcakes kind of thing. So luckily in Colorado, there's a place that sells the starter kit. It's at the time, it was one of the only places in the country where you could get the basics to start this. So we split it amongst 3 or 4 guys.
So what is the basics? What do you need? There's going to be some sort of blowtorch.
Yeah, a torch.
Yeah.
and then the torch is going to run on oxygen and propane. And just that combination of those two. And you can get a torch. We got torches for probably $75 or something like that.
Yeah.
But you can spend thousands of dollars on a torch. It really comes from the scientific glass blowing world because we use a type of glass. It's called borosilicate glass, and it's a harder type of glass, which enables people to cool it down and heat it up. And the glass is really shock resistant, so it doesn't crack. And you can do a bunch of experiments with it. Heat it up and cool it down at the same time, kind of thing. And so it lends itself to pipes. You know, some of these things you can drop on a concrete floor and they're just going to bounce.
Smash.
Yeah.
Oh, if only I'd known that, because every single pipe that I've ever bought, I've broken within like 2 weeks of having it every time. I'm so clumsy. Yeah,
I mean, like you can make a real basic piece and make it really thick, and they literally are just like indestructible. Yeah. But if they hit wrong, which they usually do, or something like that.
There's no saving those ones. I actually bought a pipe recently that has sort of a silicone vest around it.
Yeah.
So even if I put it down hard, because I've done that before, I put my glass down too hard on a table and the bottom's cracked off it. So I'm now like bubble wrapping my pipes almost in these silicone jackets.
Yeah, I see more of that.
Yeah.
And because a lot of times that ruins people's pipe experience is the first break or whatever, and it's always amazing when someone is able to, because I've been doing it for so long, and saying, hey, I got a piece for 12 years old or something like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can't keep anything alive for 12 years.
No.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I smoke usually at a little, this rinky-dink kind of thing. I rarely...
Do you not make yourself any like massive elaborate
No.
pipes? You don't enjoy that? If I could do what you do, I think I'd do that.
Make yourself?
Yeah, make myself something really crazy.
Usually I have to sell it. I'm not in the boat, in the place to keep it.
So what's the demand been like in Massachusetts since legal cannabis became a thing? Have you seen like more people wanting to try glass pipes or?
Well, it's starting to come around now. It seems like now that the dispensaries are getting established and they got their systems working, they're now are starting to add, calling up, interested in getting glass. For a while there, it was kind of, everybody was just kind of trying to get established, it seemed.
Yeah.
And there was a big drop off from the black market kind of thing.
Right.
And so it was just kind of up in the air for a little bit, but it's crazy right now as far as...
I go into any dispensary now and they've got like glass cabinets on the wall or kind of lining their dispensary that are full of glass pipes for sale.
Yeah.
And it's like art. They're not selling lots of individual pipes or, they've got packs or rolling papers behind the counter. But when you come in, some of these display cases, it's like you start off in an art museum and then you go in to buy your weed in a dispensary. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's only so many aspects of glass and weed culture, and pipe making is definitely a huge aspect of weed culture, and it changes every year and every 6 months it changes kind of thing. So
is it like what people are looking for?
Things come and go.
Fashion, right?
Yeah, it's somewhat fashion. It's also people are trying to figure out the best way to smoke oil, just smoking flower. That hasn't quite been ironed out yet. There's always like some new item coming up, and the old one goes by the wayside, and so it's starting to settle down a little bit. But during the first years when people were manufacturing oil like mostly on the black market, the contraptions people were making in order to smoke oil were just all over the place. So if you were just chasing that, it gets a little old on trying to keep up with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when people invest a lot of money in these things and they go by the wayside, here they are sitting on a bunch of useless glass products and stuff, and it kind of ruins people's enthusiasm. They're like, I just bought all these things and people don't use them anymore.
Right. So when oil and hash and like all these different concentrates became a thing, I'm not a concentrate user by any means, but are they using still a glass pipe to smoke those?
Yeah, they're using our glass pipes made out of borosilicate glass, but they're using attachments made out of quartz glass. And quartz is like the ultimate as far as shock goes. So you can,
You can really mess up a quartz.
Yeah, they're indestructible. And super, you need a lot of heat to make the stuff. And
because for even like vaporizing the oil or the bubble, you've got to have a blowtorch for that, right? Yeah. So this glass has got to be...
Yeah, and it can't give off anything.
Yeah, right. So you guys have had to sort of learn how to make new contraptions, and then those maybe aren't as popular anymore, and, new things come around. So, like, when do you focus more on the love of the art, and when do you focus more on the utilitarian aspect of it?
Yeah, well, you're kind of always forced to deal with the users. And it's not really so much being forced. It's not very limiting as far as you got two holes kind of thing. Right. So you're pretty almost just kind of limited with mostly time. Time and money. And so it's just how much time you can put into this and how much time can you put into learning something new. I mean, the amount of hours people put into doing this is ridiculous.
How many hours does it take you to go from like nothing to a full glass pipe?
It could be anywhere from a day to a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was a couple hours.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
You can do one in 15 minutes or 20 minutes too.
But that would be a really simple...
Yeah.
Something bigger than that would take days, huh?
Yeah. But that's why I just enjoy blowing glass. So when I don't want to think, I just do kind of monotonous stuff and repetitive stuff. And that's always the foundation of glass blowing, is pretty much like factory work. It's very much like, can you do this? And then cut down all, random movements. So you just kind of just streamline whatever you're doing. You watch really good glass blowers and there's like no wasted movement. It looks like a dance because they're just kind of doing it. And like I said,
it's almost peaceful to watch someone blow glass, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm always nervous watching them do it because I'm like, it's going to fall. Maybe that's my inner clumsiness coming out.
Yeah. Anytime I'm working with someone else, that's my inner dialogue for sure. I'm going to break it. I'm just going to ruin it.
It's heartbreaking when you come to the end of a piece and it smashes. Like, I've watched, I don't know what the Netflix show is called, but I've been watching a glass blowing Netflix show. And these folks get all the way to the end, and it's this beautiful piece that's got lots of pieces of glass attached to it. Mm-hmm. It's a whole concept, and then they just nick it on the edge of something and it smashes, and my heart's broken. And I'm like, it took you 10 hours. It's not even my piece, and I feel for you.
Yeah, that is definitely the name of the game, though.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a video game where you're gonna like break and die, and you just have to just kind of just forget about it and just jump into the next piece.
Yeah.
And like anytime people get too bent out of shape about something breaking, it's not a good sign because it's definitely gonna happen. But yeah, it is rough.
Yeah, you just got to kind of go into it knowing that what I make right now may not survive.
Yeah, and that's why I hate collabing with people, because it ends up, you have all of it in your hands trying to, it's not just your time, it's someone else's time kind of thing. So
now you've been doing this for how many years?
Like 26 years or something like that. I started when I was 21.
Wow. So you definitely got your 10,000 hours in.
Oh, absolutely.
As they say. Yeah, you're kind of self-taught, right?
I never saw anyone actually do glass for the first almost 5 years.
Wow, you figured it out.
Well, you just have the books, because it was back then.
Back in the 90s.
Beginning glass blowing. And luckily, like I said, it was from Glasscraft, a place in Colorado. And the guy who owned that, Homer Hoyt, he had a beginning glass blowing book. And so you could kind of just flip through and somewhat figure out what was happening.
Videos, do you remember the time before you could YouTube everything?
Yeah, it's nuts. And people are now everybody's so open, but back then it was like no one would share any type of real knowledge kind of thing. It was very hidden and
taboo, right?
Yeah, and you were kind of hiding from the cops as you're doing it. And
was it illegal to make paraphernalia out of glass?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You couldn't even say it was for tobacco?
No. In fact, we got busted blowing glass pipes in Montana, and they put it, like in Montana, that was considered manufacturing of dangerous drug paraphernalia.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you were lumped in with crystal meth and all those drugs.
Did you ever get in trouble with the police?
Oh, yeah.
With the law out for